if this goes through, you can have depressed hormonal teenagers being able to decide to walk into a clinic and end their own existence without even talking to their parents. I should probably start off right this time and go with a prayer. You want to start?
Yeah, let's
St. Michael?
let's do it in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Saint Michael, the Archangel, defend us in battle. Be our protection against the wickedness and snares of the devil. May God rebuke him, we humbly pray. And do thou, O Prince of the heavenly host, by the power of God, cast into hell Satan and all the evil spirits that prowl about the world, seeking the ruin of souls. Amen.
In the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit.
Amen. I noticed as I was saying that you said it a little bit different. Kind of threw me off. I didn't realize that you said it a little bit different.
I noticed it too. It was prowling around the world. Yeah. How do you say it?
Prowls?
You say prowls?
Yeah, I think. Anyway.
my kid says, instead of saying casting into heaven, he says something else too. He learned it a different way.
Yeah.
I don't remember what verbiage he uses for it, but it's not cast him into... I don't remember what it is. Silly for me to bring it up if I can't remember, but he does use a different verbiage there.
Yeah.
Just the way he learned it.
So, good evening. Good morning.
Wherever you may be.
Oh, Lord. Okay. So today we wanted to bring you guys a topic that we've been kind of batting back and forth. It's about the family. We're looking at all these different issues in the world and deciding, like, we talk about different topics that we want to talk about. And there's so many different things that you could dive into. But I think one of the major issues is the attack on the family. The attack as it comes from old hairy legs, from society, from all over the place. So we're going to jump into some of those. I kind of, when I was thinking about it, I kind of broke it up into like segments. So like how men are being attacked, how women are being attacked, and how children are being attacked, and then kind of the family overall.
Yeah, this is going to go for an hour easy.
But most of these topics can all kind of intertwine with each other. So if I was to speak specifically about men, feminism is one of the things I wrote for how men are being destroyed and how things are being negative in their world, but that it's also negative for the children. That's also negative for the men, the women. Feminism has been a very toxic thing. So anyway, where would you like to start? Do you want to...
I don't know where to start, and I think we can probably we might be able to sum up the entire episode here at the very beginning, first few seconds, but all of these attacks on the family, at least in modern culture, are coming from one set of ideology. There's a particular blue ideology that that really
I wonder what you're talking about.
makes a direct assault against the family in almost every aspect of what that ideology stands for, right?
Right.
So everything that they want, everything that they say is good, always ends up being another attack against the traditional family,
right,
against the nuclear family.
Right, and I would jump onto that. I know what you're saying by the blue, but I know an awful lot of quote-unquote red. If we're going to break it down to liberal, conservative, how people use those words in ways that don't always mesh, right? I can say, I'm a conservative, and somebody says, oh, well, you like this, and this. I'm like, well, I like a lot of that, but no, not all of it. So we do have people on the right who are, you can have like libertarians, some of their views, as much as I agree with some of it, or a lot of it even, there's a big chunk of it that's like, there's people who are like, well, pornography's fine as long as, you don't give it to kids, or, it's just for you. If you want to use it, that's okay, and that kind of stuff. Those or doing drugs. Yeah, doing drugs as long as it doesn't hurt anybody is no big deal. And those types of things are not, they're destructive to the family, and they're also not, I would say, conservative or...
I would say there's a particular... Let me clarify what I said then, yes, because I agree. There's a particular political party that pushes for things that are in overt opposition to the family. However, to simplify my statement even more, everything that is destructive always ties back to some kind of attack against the family
Yeah.
in some way.
Because
So
it has
whether
to,
it's
yeah.
coming from whatever side, my point just being it's in our modern culture there is a political proclivity to pass laws and enact social structures that are against the family.
Right.
So,
Well, I was kind of wondering, you know, the word patriarch is under attack, right? It has been for years. That's one of the modern. Anyway, one of the keys of feminism is down with the patriarch. Well, the patriarch in itself, and I mean, I'm not a scholar by any means, but the patriarch in itself is kind of like the relationship we have with God. God is the patriarch of our Christian body, right? I mean, Jesus is the head of our church, but God is the ultimate patriarch, and He created us, and He is the leader of all of us, whether we like it or not, whether we believe in Him or not. And so, if you destroy the patriarch, you're destroying that understanding of that relationship that we have. So it's easy for a child who grows up in a house, or easier, I should say, for a child who grows up in a house with a patriarchal, you know, with a father and mother, brothers and sisters, and he sees the dad is the leader, quote unquote, of the house, and mom and dad work in tandem, and they do all these things together, and it's a beautiful, loving marriage and whatnot. He's going to have a better understanding of, or more easily understand what God is like, or what he's how He works in our families, how He works in our lives, because He is the ultimate creator. He created us. He can take everything away if He wanted to, but He loves us more than that. And when he or she sees a father who comes in and he can be firm and you know, shut you down, ground you, take away your phone, or whatever the case may be, but then he can also turn around and love you and tell you everything's going to be okay.
you know, it's very interesting, and as you're talking about that, it's kind of giving me my own recollection of the things that I've been realizing over the last, you know, couple years or so, which I've never understood the role of God as much or as clearly as I have when applying it to the family model, right? So when it comes to sin, you know, I have countless examples of how we teach sin and how that directly would be how a father would teach their child right from wrong.
Right.
Or even an example I shared yesterday about how we understand Mary. You know, something clicked for me a while back ago when somebody was talking. I think it was Aquinas that said, "You're what a strange creature you are. You're the mother to our Lord Jesus. You are the daughter to the Father. You're the spouse to the Holy Spirit." And that that made me click in a weird way, because it immediately made me understand her role a little bit differently, because I know my kids as a father. When one of them was like 8 years old, I remember him saying to his mom, "Will you ask Dad if we can go get ice cream?" And she said, "Just go ask him." And he said, "No, because he'll say yes to you." And all that kind of clicked in one moment, where I understood the relationship with Mary, even because I had always been told, "Oh, it's because she's the mother of Jesus."
Yeah.
And every boy listens to their mother, and I'm thinking this as a young boy, like, I don't always listen to my mother,
Right.
you know? But when you think about the entirety of her role as daughter, as mother, as spouse, and then how compelling all those roles could be to the ear of God, knowing as a mother, as a spouse, and as a daughter how to speak to the man in your life,
Right.
all at once, how compelling she could be. But I keep drawing everything back to this family model, and I think if that's a way where people can experience God in a different sense, understand God in a different sense, it's very obvious why that would be a target for attack from influences that want to attack that, right?
Right.
So, but yeah, anyway.
Yeah, one of the questions that brings up for me is, without getting into, you know, it's easy to go down conspiracy rabbit holes and things like that, but like just on the surface, how many of these people know that is, you know, maybe potentially the grand design. Attack the family, destroy the faith. Attack the family, destroy the relationship with God. I feel like if I'm giving the people who lean that way, if I'm giving them a bone, if I'm just trying to be charitable, I would say that most of them probably don't realize they have good intentions, and maybe the majority of them don't realize when they have good intentions. I know the road to hell is paved with good intentions, but I don't know. I just sometimes I wonder about that. I mean, you can look at all sorts of weird stuff going on in the world and go, is this is there some sort of global
conspiracy?
Yeah, but do they really understand what they're doing? I would say most of them probably don't. Or they're willing to hear it.
I don't think they have to. We can talk about that in a moment too, but we just ran out of time, so
okay,
we'll be back.
All right.
You led into a kind of a perfect segue to just bring up some St. Augustine stuff. So you had tapped into some ancient St. Augustine philosophy of theology as you were talking there when you said giant God-sized hole that they were trying to fill. So from St. Augustine. All right. So what you were saying right before is you don't know that it's always the intention, the intention to destroy the family with some of these things. A lot of people might think that they have good intentions. And my perspective on that, what I mentioned right before was I don't know if they have to. Because as we talked about with our last abortion video where the battery drained from 100% to 0% in 10 minutes as well.
Yeah.
I don't know that the intent really has to be there because you have the Church of Satan.
Right.
And people saying, oh no, we actually don't believe in Satan. We don't believe that there is a Satan. We don't.
Yeah, they're doing his will, but
they're doing everything that he wants them to do.
Right.
I think I've heard the saying, the number one way that Satan will drag you to hell is by convincing you that he's not real.
Yeah.
Right. So,
and I didn't mean that they weren't culpable or that they weren't, doing his will.
But I can see where where they might not realize that they might think it's a good thing, but that whatever's influencing them, if there's any kind of influence that attacks the family, it's only coming from one place, right?
Right.
It's going to be demonic. And that is why the road to hell is paved with good intentions, right?
Yeah.
People thinking they're doing a good thing when they're actually doing something that's completely opposite of what the church teaches.
Right.
We see that with justifications for abortion. Those people, I think a lot of them that I've seen are actually fairly evil themselves. I've heard a lot of bad things come from them. But even with you, when you have like nominal Catholics that have sympathy toward the issue, I don't think that's coming from a bad place. I think they're trying to have sympathy for the woman.
Right.
They're just not directing it fully to have sympathy for the whole situation and the baby as well. Right.
Right.
So,
I think that also comes out of like, let's say bad parenting, and what I mean by that is like, you have these people who they go along with the transgender ideology. They go along with abortion. They go along with certain things because, my son's gay. I'm going to let him get married to a dude, which isn't marriage. But they go along with all these things because they don't want to hurt their feelings. So they think they're being compassionate by, just letting that person, quote unquote, feel good about the decisions they're making. And that's not what love is. Love is obviously holding on to somebody, but also being willing to let go if you need to, or also being willing to just tell the truth. So if the truth is love, hey, that lifestyle you're living isn't healthy, you shouldn't do that. If you're an alcoholic, if you're somebody you love is drinking every day and having to escape into drugs or alcohol, you're most likely not just going to keep feeding them those things and say, it's okay, we love you, here, just do whatever, you're fine. You're going to say, hey, you really shouldn't do that, that's bad for you. And so that's what I mean by bad parenting. It's like, it's that relationship where you think just because their feelings are going to get hurt, you're not being compassionate. But if you're doing it out of a place of love and doing it as kindly as you can, that is love. that is true compassion. Is because in the end, you don't want them to be, okay, you're going to be sad about this decision right now, but then an eternal life, you're going to have an eternal life that isn't surrounded by a separation from God. So
yeah, we've talked about this a couple times in the podcast, but I'll bring it up again because it kind of just fits our narrative of what we're even doing here to start with, which is we are here. We are called to call out sin charitably, and that's the same thing. Calling out sin, you're calling it out compassionately, out of compassion, out of love, right? If you are a Catholic out there, you believe that there's a hell, and you believe that certain things will take you to hell. Say you're a very devout Catholic, so you go to Sunday, and you go to Sunday Mass, and you do pray a lot, and you do have a good relationship, but you have a family member that doesn't. You don't want to endorse the sins they're doing,
right?
Because the Bible instructs us to tell them what they're doing wrong. Maybe
right.
You have, but you don't want to endorse it because that's not out of love, because you believe essentially that they're on the path to hell. So
right.
The compassionate thing is to try to get them on the right path to salvation,
right?
Not to let them do the thing that they like doing, even though it's destructive for them,
right?
Or destructive for their soul.
Instead of writing a gospel to yourself of, well, I'm being compassionate because I care about how they feel right this second. But again, the long term, that's a whole different story.
Yeah. Well, some of the attacks on family, of course. I mean, you said you had some kind of breakdown there on men with feminism. Did you have any other? And that, I think, if we want to explore on that, yeah, I mean, what did feminism do other than kind of demasculate men, right? Made
right.
them less masculine, told women that they didn't have to marry, they didn't have to start families,
right.
Which maybe have to is
took
the
them out of the
word,
home,
but convinced them that it was better to not have family, go chase a career.
Right.
We've seen statistics
They
where that's
made
not,
it looking like motherhood is a bad word. It's like you're less
word.
Somehow if you decide to.
And I know my wife struggled with this when we had our first kid. I mean, we had our kid young, for one. So there's already that pressure of, you're young, you need to go to college or career or whatever.
Right.
But she always did struggle with that, with the fact that, she felt like she wasn't taken seriously because she was a stay-at-home mom, and there was other people around her who were, going to college or getting a career, and she didn't feel like she was the serious one. Like she was just, but she's since changed her view of thinking on that into the more of the homemaker type. There's a huge responsibility in being a mother
right.
and raising children.
Yeah.
So I do know that she struggled with some of those feelings early on, but it's because she's been told that, right?
Yeah, the society has told her.
Ingrained into her that she should go get a job and she should establish her career and you should start a family when you're ready. But then ready never comes because
yeah.
When you look at those stats, the men that want to start families usually want to do it a lot earlier. And if they're off in college or off having a career, they're not going to be part of that pool at that time, and it's going to be harder the later you get in.
Yeah.
Life.
Well, that's a side tangent. I've written that down somewhere else too. But the starting your family so late, that is pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed, and you've got people who are in their 60s starting families, and it's so unfair to the kid. First of all, Dad, will you throw the ball with me? Oh, I threw out my back. I mean, there's that right there. There's just so many different things that instantly raise a flag. But I say that those people who do that are wussies, because you know how pathetic is it that you have to fulfill your own little fantasies. I want to be able to stay out late. I want to be able to, basically just worry about all the stuff I want first. And the thing that those people miss out on is that the thing that they want, that they don't know that they want because they're too busy focusing here on themselves, and they're not focusing on the fact that, I mean, a family is a blessing. Having a wife, husband, is a blessing. Having somebody else to take care of and a reason to get up in the morning is a blessing. When you're just focused on yourself, I mean, obviously that's sinful in itself, but it's such an empty lifestyle.
And I can see that, but as we talked about a moment ago, I don't know how culpable most women or men are because of the society, right? Women have been told and been ingrained this is what you should do. So I don't know that they're doing it from a selfish perspective.
Oh, it's selfish big time. It's just that they don't realize it's selfish.
Well, that's what I mean. Again, with the
Well,
culpability, they might not be
them
realizing that it's selfish to say, well, no, I do want a family. I just want to make sure that I have enough money to take care of that family.
Yeah.
Their line of thinking is it's just skewed to the point where it becomes disruptive to the family long term.
Right. But you have so many Disneyland adults nowadays. People I'm 35. I'm too young to have kids. You should have already have kids like in high school almost at 35, not be, anyway. But you have all these Disneyland.
Not quite 35 and I have a kid.
You have all these adults who think that it's cool to go be a kid as long as possible because, as an adult, I know I love to think about when I was a kid. And occasionally we do things that are kind of fun, especially men, because we're kind of childish that way. But, we attempt to grab those things and pull them back into the future where we are now to really relive those nostalgic moments. But these people never got out of that. And they just want to continue living it rather than, I remember back when I was a kid and revisiting that with your kids. And that's another blessing that they're taking away from themselves doing that. It's like how many movies or how many things that you really enjoyed as a kid, now you get to show your kids and you're like, oh, this is my favorite movie. And you can watch them go, or maybe they're like, hey, this is actually pretty cool. Or sports or, those things that you enjoy doing. You're just taking that whole experience away from yourself. And
I still had a bucket of... I remember making a post on this years ago, like on Instagram or something, because we went to go visit my parents, and I had my childhood Legos back before they were $1 billion a box.
Yeah.
But I had a bucket, and I literally felt like I won the lottery and gave my kid this giant. So we still have all these Legos at the house. They've just been passed from, down to my son, down to my youngest son. Now he plays with them. But when I found them, I'm like, man, this is a jackpot because Legos are so expensive. So they got all my old Legos. There was even still creations in there that I made when I was a kid. So with that, we got time though. So.
Oh. Well, I was just going to say my Lego collection ended up in the vacuum cleaner in the trash. But anyway, all right, we'll be back.
All right, so in a way, you can say that feminism is not only just attack on men; it is attack on the men, specifically for the demasculation part, but it's also attack on the women for the indoctrination part, and both those things in tandem. Men feeling that they're not able to be men, and then women feeling like they have to be more like men in men's spaces in a way, drives the opportunity for family further apart between men and women.
Something just dawned on me when you said that. I'm sorry, but that made me go, wait, because you have so many people who are LGBT, whatever. You have people who don't know what a man is because the role of a man has been completely smeared, right? There's kind of a faint outline of what it's supposed to be, and people put that like overbearing, abusive dad or whatever in that patriarch role. They don't realize what a patriarch actually is. And then you have these women who, Susie Homemaker, they don't understand like what the actual roles are. But then you look at like school, and in the schools they gear school more towards girls. Girls learn differently than boys. And so boys are chastised for being rambunctious and having energy and wanting to build and use their hands, and so it's all more. Anyway, what I'm getting to is that women and men now don't really know the differences, and so you have these guys who know that they're different, so they figure that they're maybe they are something that they weren't born because they don't really know what that role is supposed to look like. I don't know. It just sparked an idea in my head.
And I get what you're saying, and I know it's largely effective in secular culture, more so because once you get closer to faith, how if you're Catholic and getting closer to your Catholic faith, those roles become clear defined.
Yeah.
Even with our broader Christian brothers and sisters out there of other denominations,
Right.
even when you see when they are more conservative with their Christian belief, they also start really clarifying the roles. I'm not talking about the oddball ones like Episcopalian or whatever that have just gone off the rails, but there still are some other Christian conservative denominations out there other
Right.
than Catholics as a whole.
Right.
But what was I going to say with that? The
Sorry, I derailed you.
the defining of yeah, maybe I did get derailed. I thought I had something there. Moving on.
Moving on. Okay. Well, feminism is destroying women as well.
Yeah, this is quickly turning into a feminism episode because I'm starting to make more connections. But feminism is also what pushed the pro-choice garbage as well.
Yeah.
So you are now only attacking the man, and that's actually what I was going to say. But I'll say it in a second. You're not only attacking the man and his role and what he should be doing. You're also attacking the woman on making her feel guilty for, even if they want to do that, they now feel they have to be compelled to, go to school and get a job and do the things that the men would traditionally do. But then on top of that, it's you don't have to get married. You can be single. You can be promiscuous,
Right.
and
a career woman, Sex in the City.
Anything happens, you can't let that affect your career or your schooling. So now we have this other option for you. You can just kill your baby.
Right.
Like the entire movement I'm now slowly putting together is just a one giant attack on the family. So I'll jump a little bit to a separate attack, but in a similar way, maybe
All right.
from similar influences. But you also get this just with secular TV shows. I mean, you have talked about this when it's a sitcom, when it's a movie. You can think The Simpsons, you can think Family Guy. The dad is always kind of lazy and dumb, and then even if it's a stay-at-home mom, typically a little ditzy and not really well educated.
All right.
But they really play into those stereotypes and into that culture, so that to do the same thing. It's just to attack what a man should be in his family and
Right.
say this is what men are when they have a family, and they get fat and they get lazy and they get and they're dumb and they do whatever what a woman is. And there's say goodbye to your sex life, because that's not happening at all.
Right.
There's all these things are happening coming from like just secular entertainment.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I mean, one of the big TV shows I remember that kind of really personified that in a huge way back in the day was like Married with Children.
Yep.
It really made the wife look like a total piece of garbage, and I mean the whole family.
and your
was
wife
garbage.
is going to spend all your money too.
Yeah, the
'cause
wife's
she's
going to spend all your
stay-at-home.
money. You have a horrible job. You hate your kids and your family, and you're a dunce. It's like
You go to the bar every day after work. I
Right.
don't know anybody who's got. Did that used to be a thing? That might have used to be a thing.
Yeah, maybe.
I've never known anybody who goes to the bar every day after work.
I have, but they also went to the bar during work and before work, and but yeah, I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with let's say you had a place to go, and I think maybe we need more of that. I mean,
A little bit of decompression.
the revolution was organized in bars, right? I mean,
Right.
the American Revolution. There was a lot of camaraderie, people going out and talking to each other.
That's not how they portray it in sitcoms.
I know it's not in sitcoms, but I mean in real life, if you have if that's a whole maybe another topic some other time, but yeah, the fact that we don't even know our neighbors anymore. Most of us are not on first base names with the people right down the street, the people that
I know all mine around me.
Well, okay, fine, Mr. Goody Two Shoes.
I want to.
I know
all of them.
I know one set, no, two, I guess, but still, it's still, you don't, how often do you go over and borrow some sugar or go over and have a barbecue or do these things? And that stuff I think is just getting, especially since COVID, but it's getting farther and farther. Anyway, yeah. I digress. Yeah, that was one of the things I had in here. It's an attack on men is how stupid they are, and an attack on masculinity in general. And I kind of hit on that too, where men are portrayed as abusive, and like that relationship, or the patriarch man is all abusive. It's all that
toxic
man just
masculinity.
Yeah, just toxic masculinity. Toxic masculinity really is men who've been feminized. That's toxic masculinity.
That's okay. We can go with that.
Men who've been feminized, men who don't do their duty. They don't do the things that they're supposed to do. That's really
one of which is leading your family in the faith. So anybody watching out there, if you are watching this, I would assume, or probably, but maybe you stumbled upon it for some other reason. If you are not taking your family to mass, you should be the one taking your family to mass. You should be the one waking them up. You should be the one waking. If it's you got a grumpy teenager that doesn't want to get out of bed, you should be the one over there shaking them and getting them out the door. So
yeah, absolutely.
What's your next bullet point?
Well, that was kind of just the one under men. I have a section under women, and how femininity is being attacked. You see more and more women who are, I don't want to say not beautiful, because I don't mean it that way, but you have a lot of people who are uglying themselves up on purpose. You get all these women with like the nose rings, and which I guess a nose ring can look okay sometimes, but cutting their hair short, trying to look more masculine, even if they're not a lesbian or whatever, even if they're interested in the opposite sex, they still are trying to ugly themselves up, like trying to, I don't know, but that's just one little tiny piece of feminism, not feminism, but femininity. And again, like the role in the house, the role in the world, the role that a woman plays in a traditional marriage. If you look at like the way Catholics look at women, I think that the honor that we give to women is much higher than your average feminist, because we don't believe that a woman is just something to use, a Netflix and chill situation. We don't believe that women should be sexually active just to do it, just because it feels good or whatever. We believe that it should be something that's joined with marriage because of the value that person holds, because of that relationship, that bond that you're making. It's not supposed to be something that you're just giving away willy-nilly, just for the act of pleasure, quote unquote. And so I think that that's under attack on both sides, and women are just being bought into it, hook, line, and sinker. Here, you want to have an OnlyFans because people will like you. Well, the only people who like you are degenerates, Anyway, so that was my next point, I guess. The next thing I was thinking about was like the femininity of being under attack, and what it means to be a woman, how wonderful women are, and how horribly mutilated they've become because of the things that they're doing to their bodies, the things that they're doing to their souls, abortions, and all of those things kind of are an attack on what a woman really is. And again, why men and women don't really know the difference, don't know if they're a man or a woman, because they don't have that clear role anymore. They don't have the understanding.
All right. And that's time.
So,
all right. So we've talked on some of the attacks, I guess, when it comes to men and women, just in society and their roles from a couple of different angles. But then we have more direct attacks, and all of them are still at the family, right?
Right.
You have contraception, right?
Yep.
Contraception is attacking
stopping the family from existing.
Stopping a family from and being promoted is a good thing. You have abortion, which is, again, in a more brutal way and a more satanic way, stopping a family from existing.
Yeah.
And not only that, but then, so those are very, something like abortion is very direct, but then you have more indirect methods, like not necessarily influence, or that's what I'm influencing the family. So you have, state laws now in some places where a minor can get an abortion
Right.
without their parental consent.
Yeah.
It's that then is now an infiltration into the family directly, right? Because you have a family unit, you have a mother, father, child. Those decisions like that, especially life impacting major decisions like having an abortion, need to be discussed within the family.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I mean,
But they
that would
repackage
go either way. I mean, obviously, if you're coming from a Catholic perspective, that discussion is going to go different than if you're not Catholic. But
Yeah.
even either way, I still think that child has to talk to their parents. They shouldn't be sneaking
Except
off and
they're
doing it either way.
purposely doing that. They, as in the abortion industry, they're doing it by calling it healthcare. They're doing it by calling it, now it's in a little pill form, and you just magic day after pill. You don't have to worry about it so much.
Just because you said that, before I forget, there's going to be a number up here. There's an abortion pill reversal hotline. We just went and did a tour at one of the women's clinics here. They let us know about the hotline. That's going to be right up here in big red letters, if red works. But there is an abortion pill reversal hotline. Though we had a video where the doctor explained it. It's probably going to be up before this one's up. So if you want some details there, go watch it. But horrific. They explained actually what it does and what the what that pill actually does and the method and even kind of the sneaky ways they try to absolutely make sure that the baby dies, which obviously they do because that's the point of the pill. But it is reversible as long as it's caught fast enough. So if you know somebody heard something, there's a number here. Anyway, keep going.
Amen. That's awesome. No, I mean that's abortion in general. It's an attack on motherhood, all that stuff. But it is. We've said this in other videos. If you haven't seen that video, Satan's sacrament. Satan has always been a fan. He feeds off of it, and if you don't believe us, go look at what they fed to Baal. They've done
Moloch.
Child sacrifices for thousands of years before Jesus walked.
And it was always to gain something, right? Yeah. So in the Bible, they talk about sacrificing their children to, get good crops, and God rebukes this and says, "I'll take all of your crops away." But they're doing it for a gain, right? There's a sacrifice for a gain to this demon, Baal or Moloch or whichever name. I think it's interchangeable. I think it's the same deity, though.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what's happening now. We've talked about this. It's a sacrifice, a self-fulfilling sacrifice, a sacrifice for self-convenience, right? You're now sacrificing your child so that you can go to college. You're sacrificing your child so that you can start your career. You're sacrificing your
Back
child.
in the old days, it might have been for crops or whatever, but it was still the same goal.
You are doing it for a reason to gain something that is in your mind better than the child, right? So completely demonic, completely satanic. It is a sacrament of the, I don't know, which they're both the same to me. Church of Satan, Satan Temple, Temple of Satanologists.
Yeah, but literally the I don't know which one is the Church of Satan, but the people who practice magic and they do all that stuff, and they take Catholic hosts, and they one of the things, if you go watch a guy named Zachary King, he will explain how they literally do abortions. They have people who sign up to have their child aborted in a black mass, and they get the blood of the child and the mother on the sacrifice, whatever.
Oh, this video is getting flagged.
And it's deep enough in now, maybe not. But they
using AI now.
So it's not a funny thing. I mean, it's true. But they do these things. They do abortions as sacrifices today, and they call them sacrifices. That's what they do. And they if you want this spell to work, you have to have this abortion. And it's legit. Go look up Zach King. He'll tell you all about it. But
and there's nothing that will convince me that with other options available, there's nothing that will ever convince me that the entire abortion industry is not just one giant satanic cult that is incognito as doctors, incognito as having your best interest at heart. I mean, isn't that how Satan should appear? Is what's the phrase, appear charismatic, right?
Oh, yeah.
So they're trying to sell you something, but there's the options out there. I mean, there's never excuse for an abortion. C-sections save babies' lives. They can do C-sections late term. It doesn't have to be an abortion. It could be a C-section with an adoption.
Hold on one sec. Just because I know that there might be somebody out there right now watching and saying, "Oh, well, they don't know what they're talking about. This abortion saved my life." There are times when
Ectopic.
there are things that, like an ectopic pregnancy, where they have to remove a baby. They have to remove, but the goal is not to kill the baby. The goal is to save somebody's life. And if it's possible to save the baby's life, that would be obviously on the top of the list. But there are things where medically it has to be done. We do hear all the time that people. I had this. My doctor said my pregnancy was unviable. That's something they like to say a lot. And so you need to get an abortion because this baby is not going to make it. It's going to have heart issues. Its spine is not developed. It's blah 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 blah. And sometimes they're right. A lot of times they're right. But there are a lot of women out there who said, or families who said, "Nah, I don't. Okay, I'll give birth to the baby anyway. I want to hold that baby in my arms." And how many times those kids come out completely healthy?
Or even if not, having the opportunity to potentially baptize them if they only live for a few minutes, right?
Yeah.
And what he's referring to here in Catholic teaching is called the double effect. It's when your intent is not to do harm, but it's to do a good, but harm comes from it. An ectopic pregnancy is a good example of that. The intent is to save the mother's life.
Right.
However, the unintended consequence is going to be the baby won't survive.
Yeah.
It would be very similar. I think I've heard another example as the birth control pill. It can be prescribed for things other than birth control to fix other things for women. And if it's being prescribed and used for that, and that is true to the person who's taking it, and it's not being used as birth control, then that would technically be a double effect.
That's true, but most of the time, I think that's a crack at you know what, because because they're trying to balance the hormones by giving them something that's going to mess up their hormones. There's other things that they can do to. But
and I don't know, but that would be double effect. I mean, it would be that person would have to still be
You're not
chaste,
doing it. You're
right?
not doing it for the benefit of being able to have sex unprotected, blah blah blah. Which there is no protected sex. Anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
So abortion. We kind of got off on that as we tend to. There's something else though, and this one we only have a few minutes left, but maybe we'll start talking about it. So we talked about abortion. We've talked about the influence around infiltrating the family by giving the decision to minors when it should involve their parents. And Canada is, or some people in Canada. I'm not going to condemn an entire country yet, but
there's some good brothers and sisters in Canada.
They're taking this to a one step. Now, one thing we haven't really touched on. From the pro-life perspective, we've done IVF and we've done abortion. We have not talked about euthanasia yet. We probably will. I can't say the other word. So if you don't know what euthanasia means, Google it. But there's another word that's more commonly used. As a matter of fact, that's the one that they use. And
are you talking about the one where you self-delete yourself type of thing?
Self-deleting, yes. Self-deleting. So yes, euthanasia is self-deleting, endorsed by doctors. So you go in, it's a medical setup, and they help you not be here anymore. So Canada's taking our previous statement, well, not yet, again, not condemning the whole country, MAID, which stands for the Medical Association, Medical Assistance in Dying, has proposed minor euthanasia. So that's not euthanasia. That's for that's not as deadly. It's euthanasia for kids, for minors. Yeah, without parental consent. So this would be for mature minors that are suffering, and the solution for that suffering is
isn't that the mature minor? Isn't that an oxymoron?
That is exactly how they have it written, as mature minors.
Because the word minor kind of indicates that they are not ready to make those decisions, right?
Yep, and so the proposals have suggested that the minor will ultimately take precedence. The minor's decision will ultimately take precedence over the parent's decision. So now, in Canada, if this goes through, you can have depressed hormonal teenagers being able to decide to walk into a clinic and end their own existence without even talking to their parents.
Yeah.
And endorsed by the government.
Yeah.
That is... I mean, we've said demonic way too many times, but I don't know if there's a better word for it. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
Guys, just think about that. Teenagers are already hormonal. They're already unbalanced. You have, a teenager who gets broken up with in high school, and now in that altered state, potentially being able to go and just convince a doctor that they're depressed enough that this is the solution.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah. Yeah, it's disgusting when you think about what that actually means, that somebody can be deleted off the face of the earth.
Especially a child.
Yeah.
With parents.
Yeah. I mean, I just...
See, I only ever heard that they talked about this a bit in school. I went to Catholic school, and they'd talk about euthanasia, but I think every time it came up to us, it was always like, maybe this is what it was when it was first rolling out, it was old people that, like, had cancer and didn't want to, didn't want to suffer anymore, and that's how it was always played to me. But now it's just, I mean, if you're willing to extend it down to minors without parental consent, this is the equivalent to abortion anytime for any reason.
Right.
Just
it's
now living people.
Self-inflicted.
Yeah, self-inflicted.
Supposedly. And how many people can be talked into this kind of stuff? Because you have people who, don't want somebody around, and they treat them, how do I say?
Walk them into it?
Bully them, gaslight them,
There's already instances of people being walked into suicide by people who they trusted.
You said the word.
There's a beat there. Being walked into it by people that they thought were their friends. Like, yeah, you should do that. You should totally do that. That would, That's already happening. So now the fact that it could just be legal to do that. I mean, that was a bad thing. Like, people would get arrested for...
Right, and now it's...
telling people to do it. Now it would be like, oh, no, yeah, that's a state benefit. You should do it.
Right. Yeah, it's cheaper. You're still on my insurance. It's costing me a lot of money.
Anyway, out of time. You can help support us by going to beadsforbabies.org and check out our t-shirts that we have for sale there. We have a line of mysteries of the rosary that are depicted in comic book style form. This is a good way to evangelize the faith and drive people closer to the rosary. We also have our saints lineup. These are fun, bubbly characters for kids and adults, and we've added a new one, St. Gianna. All of the proceeds from the St. Gianna t-shirt will be donated to Phoenix Women's Clinic and their project, Casa de Gianna. Once again, that's beadsforbabies.org.
Okay, one of the things that I think I had on my list, I had like family, just in general, but I had divorce.
Okay. Yep.
And that is something that is unfortunately on the left and the right. People
with inside and outside of Christendom as well. I mean, the Catholic Church is really the only church that has stood firm on its teachings on most things, like abortion and contraception, but divorce is another one that the church stands firm on. And those of you that might not know, when it comes to annulment is not divorce. An annulment is actually a process that the couple has to go to see whether or not the marriage was valid or
null
invalid
in the first place. Yeah.
Yep. So if they determine
it's a declaration of nullity.
If they determine it was never a valid marriage, then it's null. It never happened. That's the term annulment.
Right.
But if they do their research and they say, nope, this is a valid marriage, you're not getting out of it from the Catholic perspective. You're still married to that person, and if you remarry, you're now committing adultery.
Right. Which is why a lot of people leave the church because of that.
Yeah.
And they claim that they're now Protestant or whatever, but it's because they know that they're... Anyway.
Stack one sit on top of the other.
So that is another area where, marriage has become something no more than a temporary contract. It's more of a step up in dating. It's I'm going to date this person, and everybody first off says, well, you should live with the person first, right? So why wouldn't you? You know, you want to know that you guys work well together. People say sleep together first. They do all these things that are contradictory to what God says. And it's funny because I was thinking about different things on my way home, and popped up in my Bible when I got home. And the first thing that popped up that I've started reading through a bunch of stuff, and the first thing that popped up was Matthew chapter 19. I think it's like 1 through 13. It's where Jesus is talking to the Pharisees, and he explains to them what marriage is, and he explains it very basic. It's never to be taken apart. It's never. It's between a man and a woman. All of these things that have just been under attack for how many years? I mean, besides the normalizing in every movie and every person that you meet who thinks marriage is supposed to be just another step on the dating chart or whatever. There's the aspect that it's undoable. It's not something that is meant to be.
For those Protestants out there that like the Gospels, it says, "No man shall tear apart."
Yeah, it says, right. Therefore, in Matthew 19, 6, it says, "Therefore now they are not two, but one flesh. What therefore God hath joined together, let no man put asunder." So divorce is not real. Once you make that decision, it is a decision that is for life. And part of that comes, I mean, we could get deep into that. That's another thing where we could run with that for a long time. But what it boils down to is that people don't understand what love is anymore. And so you look at somebody who is in a relationship, and they don't think that they don't have the feelies anymore. I don't feel so beautiful when my wife walks in anymore. She's just always nagging me and whatever. And so they start to focus on nothing but the negatives, and they're looking at how that person can be of use to them rather than how you can be useful to that person. Whether it's just for pleasure, which unfortunately is a lot of relationships nowadays. This is just for pleasure. They're not looking at it as, you're not pouring yourself out for that person. So anyway, that is something that is under attack in our common culture and the stuff we see on TV. But it's also under attack in the church, in our government. When Obama said that men and women, or women and men and men could get married, that was a huge attack. And before that, most Americans were like, yeah, gay marriage, why would you want that? And then he just said, no, it's fine. And pushed it through. And now it's like, half of the population was like, it's fine, well, whatever. Or it's there between them, who cares? And that's another attack on what a family's supposed to look like. It's not two dudes. It's not two gals. It's not a guy and a fish. There was a guy that married like a Cadillac.
Yeah, there was a guy who married like a anime.
Oh, yeah.
Like AI thing too.
What a weeb. I don't know if that's the right word. I think that's the right word.
As you touched on stages of love, I think we learned this in marriage prep, which for a Catholic wedding you have to do for 9 months. At least here. I don't know if it's different in different dioceses.
In each diocese it's a little bit different, I think, but yeah.
It could be different by the diocese. So you have eros, which is the passionate love,
right,
which the infatuation, this is what happens when you're dating. You may experience it from time to time as well through, throughout your life, but it's the more passionate love. But the agape love is what comes after, which is a self-sacrificing love toward one another, which is what breeds the long-lasting marriage, marital relationship,
right.
Which is that agape love, being able to, self-sacrifice for one another.
Right.
And as men, you are called to love your wives the way Christ loved his church and lay down your life, right? So
yeah. And so you're supposed to pour yourself out. And all of those things, anybody who's listening who thinks that sounds dire and they, it's so horrible, it's a beautiful thing. You're going to go through ups and downs. That's any relationship, even with your best friends. You're going to have people that you like to be around, and then after a while you're like, eh. But with a friend, you can be like, hey, let's take a break for a little while, But with your wife, it's a little bit different. But it is a beautiful thing because that eros, that part comes and goes. It gets more extreme at times, and other times it's a little bit more calm. But then you get to realize all of the other beautiful parts about your spouse and the difficult parts that you have to deal with, and then you get to realize, especially through their eyes, wow, I'm a piece of garbage. I mean, you get to realize that you aren't perfect. It's another way to examine yourself in humility and say, okay, I really am falling short here. There's things I need to do better. And so marriage is a blessing all around. And it's really sad that it's in the state that it is in right now. And that is not, sadly, some of the main proponents of not getting married or waiting till you're 40 or just get a divorce over and over and over as soon as that feeling goes away. I see that all the time, and I don't want to pick on any specific Protestant group, but I do see it in certain Protestant groups where it's you see people who get married and divorced all the time because it's now a temporary thing. Anyway, so that's just another.
No, and I'd agree with you. I think that divorce is a good one to bring up when we're talking about this. Like I said, I think we could probably just talk for like 3 hours on all the different attacks on the family, because I think they're numerous, because almost everything evil is an attack on the family, or the familial structure, which makes sense if it's God's structure.
Yeah.
If this is the structure that God put into place, man, woman, child,
right?
Of course, that's going to be the number one target for everything. But you talk about divorce as it being like a degradation of marriage, as well as being able to just be married for the sake of being married to anybody, between anything.
Right.
You mentioned, I think I'll stick with the analogy of a car and a guy.
Yeah.
Right? If a car and a guy can get married, then what is marriage? Right? It's obviously not what it was intended to be through the church. It's not what Jesus is talking about over here.
Right. There's no I can get married to a Mitsubishi clause in here or anything like that.
So yeah, the only other things I'd bring up as far as attacks on family, kind of they still harken back to what we talked about earlier with the leaving out parental consent for abortions and euthanasia, which is also just the indoctrination of kids in general, from a secular perspective.
I was going to bring that up, but in a different way, but keep going. Yeah,
just like what you said, being, where you say 50% of people are like, oh, it doesn't matter if, you get divorced, or it doesn't matter if you get, if two guys get married. That's being taught from a secular level, and it's starting in places where it's starting in schools, right?
Yeah.
From a young age, and you can probably take that to an even larger thing on getting into LGBTQ stuff, and how that's indoctrinating kids at a very young age, taking out the Bible, but then putting in weird, sex books into the schools at the elementary school level, because the Bible's dangerous.
Right.
And
10 Commandments outside, what?
And I mean, if your sole purpose is to push a bunch of demonic stuff, then yes, the Bible is dangerous. So you can understand almost why they would want that removed.
That's true.
So that they can push in the weird sex stuff, right?
Yeah. But that was kind of the angle I was going to go for, not the weird sex stuff, but the attack on our children and their minds when it comes through television, when it comes through the phones. The phones right now, it's ridiculous. How many people you see with that blank stare, staring off into a void of nothing, of things that are just
the
content. Content to absorb content, not creating, not being part of God's.
I've been guilty of doom scrolling. The one good benefit of some of my doom scrolling is because I've now exercised all of my algorithms to the point where all I get is Catholic content all the time. So at least my doom scrolling is a bunch of Catholic prayers and images and so I wouldn't really want to call it doom scrolling at that point.
Yeah,
like,
I just, you know,
but it could be a waste of time if I'm scrolling through a bunch of it's still even Catholic content. If I'm just flipping, and I could be doing something more productive. Obviously, that's still not a good distraction.
Right.
So,
well, I see not only kids, but I see adults doing it. I see adults doing it while driving.
Yeah.
You know, you see somebody who's far back. In Arizona, people drive like maniacs anyway. I'm just saying, you're on the freeway, everybody's going 90, and you hit somebody, not hit hopefully, but you see somebody.
There's a monsoon, zero visibility, still 90. I don't understand it.
You see people going 80 instead of 90, but they're backing up everybody behind them. Like, what? Why is this person so far from the person in front of them? And they're hitting their brakes randomly every time you pull up, and they got their nose in a phone. It's so frustrating. I hate that. And learn how to use a blinker. Learn how to merge. You don't slow down to merge, people. Anyway, I digress again. I was going to say there's a stigma that goes with marriage. There's a stigma that goes with the family, and people telling you to wait to have kids, wait till you're 40. People who, they look at people who have kids like freaks, and so you look at the old school Catholic family who had 10 kids in the giant Ford Econoline van, and people look at them like they're mutants.
They're boring.
And people are offended by the fact, oh, how many kids do you have? Oh, I have 8 kids. What? I mean, I don't have 8 kids. I wish I did, but
how does my wife say it? Fill up the pew. Have a family that fills up the pew.
Yeah, why not?
Now, and yes, 100%. There was something I was going to add to that though. Never mind, I lost it completely.
Sorry.
Oh, you're fine.
So again, this is kind of a generic or a general overview of how the family is under attack. There's not.
Oh, that's what I was going to say.
Oh.
It's completely off topic, but not off topic. Still on topic. I was watching this. I told you my idea for a video of the old like the old informational videos that they played in like the 50s, like. Johnny's going to show us how he gets ready every morning, and it always starts off with a hearty breakfast.
Right.
So I was watching some of those infomercials, and they had one on going steady. And this was actually, I mean, I knew what it was. I've seen Grease. I've heard my parents use the term, but even them, they not in this way. It probably was a thing when they were younger. But when I was younger, growing up, like when you were in dating age, like you dated somebody.
Right.
Like, this is a girlfriend or a boyfriend, and that's the only person you date, even at a young age.
Right.
Where this video, it's talking about going steady, and they're encouraging like the young, on both sides, the young women and the young men. Oh, well, you just had a date with so and so last week. Are you going out with this other person this week? And to me, from like my mindset of like you start dating somebody and you kind of that's it. Mm-hmm. It sounds weird to have a parent saying, "Yeah, you should date around," because in my mind, dating around has now been converted to sleeping around, right?
Yeah.
So when you watch the video and you're talking, but that's not what it was. They were literally, it was courtship, right?
Right.
And they were doing this at a young age, getting to know somebody, and then having a family at a young age. And I would encourage having a family at a young age.
Yeah.
Don't wait till you're 40.
I know. It sounds like a contradictory thing when I say that marriage is forever, but then to also say, get married at 19, get married at 20, 21.
Right, but could you imagine you find the person that you're gonna say I want to be with forever, and then miss out on 20 years of being with them here on Earth.
Right.
Right. So if you're gonna make that commitment, 20 years isn't going to matter in the what is it? The scheme?
The grand scheme of
things. Yeah. The grand scheme of things, that 20 years is only going to be more time that you got to spend with that person that you are going to decide that you want to spend eternity with. The more you put that off, the less time you're going to get with that person that you want to be with.
One of the things that Father Mike Schmidt said when he was talking about marriage, and somebody asked him, when do you know, how do I know I'm married to the right person? And he said, hold up your hand, and they had their ring on. He said, that's how you know. There is, a level of courtship that you need to do, and to get to know the person, make sure that you're not, incompatible, right? That's what dating is supposed to be. It's not making out. It's not having sex. It's not all those things. It's getting to know the person, see if you like spending time with them, doing things with them. And then after you've done that, all the other stuff, you know, if they're Catholic or whatever, you know, if they're following the same thing that you're following, all the other stuff will, I don't want to say work itself out. You have to put in the work, but those things are all fixable. Those things are all workable if you put in an actual effort.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's again, that's what love is. Love is work. Love is pouring yourself out for the person that you commit to. It's a commitment. It's truth. So I don't want to end on a sad note. I think that it could get really sad if you look at the way that the family is under attack. But I do see a lot of people out there,
Catholics in particular,
bucking the system.
A lot of young families I'm seeing now.
Yeah. A lot of people realizing that what they've been sold by the generations previous to them, whether it's the boomer generation
and
or
we just need
so
the
on
young
and so
families
forth.
to get loud.
We have
visible.
Good examples of families all over the place that are they're expanding because, you know, they're the ones that are getting together young and loving each other and being a good example for, you know, anyway. Yeah. So until next time, we love you guys. If you guys like this video, like it, like it, whatever. Hit the button, I guess. Subscribe.
One more thing. This video should come out after the video that I'm going to be referencing, so I think we're okay. But we're going to be running a promo on our website, 10% off. If you type in St. Gianna, I'll put it in the description. St. Gianna, 10% off of our entire website. And not only that, but we're going to be running a... I'll describe it later. Cut me off. We'll cut off that out of here somewhere. Yeah, never mind.
But yeah, the shirts we got, cool. We got all sorts of different options on there. But yeah, I guess we'll probably put in an ad.
I'll just put in a commercial. Yeah, I don't know what I'm trying to do right now.
Yeah, all right. Well, anyway, God bless you guys, and we'll see you later.
See ya.
In nomine